November 16th, 1935. Building contract placed with the Blohm & Voss shipyard in Hamburg. Construction number BV 509. February 14th, 1939. Launched. Christened by Dorothea von Lohenwenfeld, granddaughter of the German Chancellor Otto von Bismarck. May 18th, 1941. Operation Rhein und Bong commences. 1200 hours. Leaves berth Rotenhafen and anchors in the bay to embark supplies and fuel. May 19th, 1941. 0200 hours. Bismarck departs Hohenhafen and begins her cruise west. 11:25. Bismarck joins Prinz Eugen and destroyers C-16 Friedrich Eckholt and Z-23 off Rügen Island. 22:30. Destroyer Z-10 Hans Lottie joins the battle group. May 20th, 1941. 0200 hours to 0600 hours. Bismarck and Prinz Eugen are sighted in the Kattegat by the Swedish cruiser Gotland. May 21st, 1941. 0800 to 0900. The German battle group enters the Kors Fjord near Bergen. 1100 hours. Bismarck anchors in the Grimstad Fjord. 13:15. Sighted and photographed by a British Coastal Command Spitfire. 2000 hours. Leaves the Kors Fjord together with the Prinz Eugen and the 3 destroyers. May 22nd, 1941. 4:20. Course 0 degrees. The destroyers leave the group. Bismarck takes the lead. 12:37 to 13:07. U-boat and air alarm. Zigzagging. May 23rd, 1941. 1811 to 1822. False alarm. Vessels identified as icebergs. 1922. Sights Suffolk on her port side at 7 miles. 2030. Bismarck sights Norfolk and fires 5 main battery salvos. No hits scored. The forward radar set, Fumo 23, is disabled to the blast shock from the forward turrets. Shortly afterwards, the Prinz Eugen passes the Bismarck and takes the lead. 2200. Reverses her course and tries to engage the Suffolk, which realizes the Bismarck's maneuver and withdraws. May 24th, 1941. 5:43. Bismarck and Prinz Eugen sight 2 ships at 17 miles on port side. 5:52. Hood opens fire and the Battle of the Denmark Strait begins. Bismarck reports to Group North. I'm in a fight with 2 heavy units. 5:55. Bismarck fires her first salvo at Hood, followed shortly after by Prinz Eugen. 5:56 to 600 hours. Bismarck is hit on the port side by 3 35.6 centimeter shells from the battleship Prince of Wales, 1 amidships under the armored belt section, a second in her bows, and a third one passes through a boat. 6:01. Hood blows up and sinks. 6:02 to 6:09. Bismarck scores 4 hits on Prince of Wales. 6:09. Fires last salvo at Prince of Wales. 93 by 38 centimeter armor-piercing shells fired. She is losing oil and her top speed is reduced to 28 knots. 1,000 tons of water in the forecastle. 6:32. Bismarck reports to Group North. Battlecruiser, probably Hood, sunk. Another battleship, King George or Renown, damaged. 2 heavy cruisers keep up surveillance. 7:05. Bismarck reports to Group North. We have sunk a battleship in quadrant AD-73. 8:01. Bismarck reports to Group North. 1. Loss of electric plant number 4. 2. Port boiler number 2 is taking water, but can be held. Water in forecastle. 3. Maximum speed 28 knots. 4. Denmark Strait 50 miles of floating mines. Enemy has radar instruments. 5. Intention. to put to Saint Nazaire. Prince Eugen cruiser warfare. No losses of personnel. 1814. Turns 180 degrees to starboard, while the Prince Eugen leaves the formation. 1840 to 1856. Fires some shells at Suffolk and Prince of Wales. No hit. 1914. Bismarck reports to Stalking. Brief fight with King George without result. Prince Eugen released for oiling. Opponents keep up surveillance. 2056. Bismarck reports to Group West and Stalking. Shaken off contacts impossible due to enemy radar. Due to fuel shortage. Will proceed directly to Saint Nazaire. 2300. Sighted by the United States Coast Guard cutter Modoc. Midnight. Bismarck is attacked by 8 swordfish of the 825th Battalion. From carrier Victorious. Bismarck speed 27 knots. The battleship is hit by one 18-inch Mk-12 torpedo on the starboard side, amidships. The damage is insignificant, but the shock of the impact causes one casualty aboard, Oberbootsmann Kurt Kirchberg. May 25th, 1941. 002800 hours. Bismarck reports, attacked by carrier-based aircraft, torpedo hit on starboard side. 0037. Bismarck reports to Group West. Further attacks are expected. 131. Fires 2 salvos against the Prince of Wales. No hits. 153. Bismarck reports to Group West. Torpedo hit but of no significance. 310. Turns to starboard and the British lose contact with her. About 500 hours. New course 130 degrees. 727. Bismarck reports to Group West. 0700 hours, Quadrant AK-55, 1 battleship, 2 heavy cruisers, and continuing surveillance. 910 to 948. Bismarck reports to Group West. Possession of radar equipment by opponent. Effective range, at least 35,000 meters. Adversely affects to the highest degree the operations in the Atlantic. Ships were located in the Strait of Denmark in dense fog and were continuously tracked. Disengagement failed even in favorable weather conditions. Oil replenishment is generally no longer possible if disengagement of opponent cannot be accomplished with higher speed. Running battle between 20,800 and 18,000 meters. Opponent Hood concentrates fire on Bismarck. After 5 minutes, Hood is destroyed by an explosion. Thereafter, change of target to King George, who then turns away in black smoke caused by definitively observed hits. Later, King George took on the fight only at extreme distances. Bismarck received 2 hits from King George, one of those hits below the side armor belt at sections 13 to 14. Hidden component 20 and 21. Impaired speed and caused a 1-degree bow burying forward and destruction of oil cells. Release of Prince Eugen possible by engagement of cruisers and battleship by Bismarck during fog. Own EM-2 radar, instrument prone to failures, especially during firing. 26th, 1941. 1740. Sighted by Sheffield. 2047 to 2115. Attacked by 15 swordfish of the 810th, 818th, and 820th Squadrons from Ark Royal. The Bismarck is hit by 2 or 3 18-inch Mk-12 torpedoes. 1 torpedo, or 2, hits the port side armed amidships, and another hits the stern in the starboard side. As a result of this attack, both rudders jammed at 12 degrees to the port. 2054. Bismarck reports to Group West. Attacked by carrier-borne aircraft. 2105. Bismarck reports to Group West. Square BE-6192 have sustained torpedo hit aft. 2115. Bismarck reports to Group West. Tornado hit amidships. 2115. Bismarck reports to Group West. Ship no longer maneuverable. 2130 to 2155. Fires salvos against the Sheffield. Distance 9 miles. No hits scored. 2140. Bismarck reports to the High Command of the Navy in Group West. Ship unable to maneuver. We will fight to the last shell. Long live the Führer. 22:38. Sighted by Polish destroyer Piorun. 22:42. Opens fire against Piorun. 23:25. Bismarck reports to Group West. Am surrounded by renown and light forces. 23:58. Bismarck reports to the Führer of the German Reich, Adolf Hitler. We will fight to the last man with confidence in you, my Führer, and with rock-solid trust in Germany's victory. 23:59. Bismarck reports to Group West. Ship is weaponry-wise and mechanically fully intact. However, it cannot be steered with the engines. May 27th, 1941. 17. Bismarck reports to the Commander-in-Chief of the Navy. Submitting application for awarding of Knight's Cross to Corvette Kapitan Schneider for the sinking of the Hood. 6:25. Bismarck reports to Group West. Situation unchanged. Wind force 8 to 9. 7:10. Last report from Bismarck to Group West. Send U-boat for safekeeping of war diary. 8:44. Sighted by the King George V and Rodney. Speed 7 knots. 8:47. The final battle begins. Rodney opens fire. 8:49. Turrets Anton and Bruno open fire at Rodney. 9:02. Bismarck is hit for the first time. Foretop command port disabled. 9:08. Forward command post disabled. Turrets Anton and Bruno out of action. 9:13. After command post disabled. Turrets Khazar and Dora proceed to local fire. 9:21. Turret Dora out of action. 9:27. Turrets Anton and Bruno fire one last salvo. 9:31. Turret Khazar fires the last salvo and is put out of action. Main battery silenced. 9:58. Possible torpedo hit to port. 9:36 to 10:16. Receives an indeterminate number of hits from point-blank range between 2,500 and 4,000 meters, but is still afloat. Sometime about 1000 hours. Demolition charges explode in the turbine room. 10:22. Hit on the starboard side by two 21-inch Mark 7 torpedoes fired by Dortshire from 3,000 meters. 10:37. Hit on the port side by a third 21-inch Mark 7 torpedo fired by Dortshire from 2,200 meters. 10:39. Bismarck finally sinks. 116 men rescued. June 9th, 1989. The wreck of the Bismarck is discovered at a depth of 4,790 meters by an expedition led by Dr. Robert D. Ballard.